So in today's video I'm going to show you how to make the dust cover for the ScanNCut, and this has come about because I posted a video recently relating to the set of drawers that I now keep all my ScanNCut accessories in, and I keep my machine on top of it. And somebody messaged me and asked me where did I get the cover for the machine. Now, the previous cover that I had on my machine was a black cover with a felt flower, and it was actually a cover that I made from a Puzzles Inspiration machine years ago. And when I bought the ScanNCut, I just transferred over the dust cover once I'd sold the Puzzles machine. But it was far too big, so I decided that I would create a pattern and make one specifically for the ScanNCut. The basic shape itself is fairly simple, and I'll go through that in a minute. And if you watch till the end of the video, I'll give you some information as to how you can enter to win this particular cover that you can see here, which I've left undecorated so you can personalise it as you wish. It's a little bit of a dark day here today, so you probably can't see the colour properly, but it's a kind of taupe colour, so fairly neutral. Okay, so I'll just explain what I did and then I'll tell you what you need. So basically, I got my ScanNCut machine, unplugged it from the power, tipped it onto its end and actually drew around the shape of the machine in pencil. Then I went over it in a black marker and scanned that using ScanNCut data into the ScanNCut machine. I then went into the seam allowance settings on my machine and set it to 10mm, which is 3/8 of an inch. And as far as I'm aware, on most modern day sewing machines, if you set your sewing position to a straight stitch, a standard straight stitch, which is generally with the needle in the middle of your presser foot, the distance from the needle to the end of the foot is 3/8 of an inch. So that's equivalent to 10mm. So I added, once I'd scanned this in and saved it into the machine, I then brought it back up and I added a 10mm seam allowance via the settings on the machine, and then set the shape to add the 3/8 or 10mm seam allowance, and that's what gave me this, and this is the template. So this is a 3/8 seam allowance over this, the original one I cut out. So what you're going to need is the template, which I'll put on my blog, and the link to my blog is always at the beginning of my videos, and it will also be in the description box below the video. You're going to need to cut that twice, and I'm using a plain pattern, a plain fabric again, but if you use a patterned fabric, you're going to need to cut it once and then reverse it and cut it the second time, so that your pattern is on the outside on both ends, if that makes sense. So you need two of those, one cut one way, one reverse cut the other, which I've already done to save some time. You need a piece of fabric that measures 21 inches across by 17.5 inches high. And then if you want to decorate it, you need something to decorate it, either some more felt with heat and bond ironed on the back, or whatever you want to do with it. I'm actually going to bling this one up, and I've cut a rhinestone design which I'm going to put on when it's finished. This fabric is curtain weight fabric, and the other one that I showed you, the taupe one, is also curtain weight fabric, but any fabric would do. And when I made the other one, sewed this and this together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then I went over all the seams with my overlocker, and I also overlocked the bottom seams front and back with my overlocker, but then I turned it in about 3/8 of an inch and just top stitched it just so that it's got a nice clean finish. Okay, so with your fabric in this position, so 21 inches across, 17.5 inches high, right side up. You want to take your two end pieces that you've cut out, and again you want right side up. So you want the straight edge that's got the curve running off to the outside, positioned here, and then the same with this one, straight edge with the outside running towards the outside, positioning here. Okay, so I'll just show you on this one first because I'm going to work on the opposite, but just so you, in case once you start pinning the other one, if you get the orientation all wrong, if you take this one now and flip it over so that the right sides are together, and just put a couple of pins just to hold it in place for now. Okay, so we're going to come to this side now. Again, you've got right sides up, flip this over so that the right sides are now together, and then you need to start pinning. So the way I do it, I pin this bottom corner, and what you want to do, you're going to pin this up here, and then all this gets pinned to round here. So if I just start pinning, and then what I would do is bring this end and put it to this end of this corner section, like so. You could just keep going all the way around, but if you do it this way, if you've not been entirely accurate with your cutting, you can ease the fabric in to this end panel. Just gonna have to put my glasses on because it's navy blue fabric and it's not the brightest of days here. So you just want to pin . And all these edges, you could, after you've sewn them, you can overlock them or do them with a zigzag to neaten them all up. I'm going to overlock them like I did on the other one, the one that I'm going to be giving away. So that's the shape that you're going to have. And then coming back to the other side now, just do exactly the same. And you've already got your pins in place on this side, so it's literally a case of just adding the rest of your pins. Bring this top edge down to this bottom edge, and pin in place. So you've got your two ends positioned now and pinned onto your front back section, and the way I sew it is with the end panel facing up, not with the bulk of the fabric facing up, and I start at the bottom and I come all the way round. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, because at the beginning I told you that I'd added 3/8 of an inch onto my basic shape as a seam allowance. So if I sew at a 1/4, I've got a little bit of leeway. And you probably got some kind of a marking on your machine bed or something somewhere that you could use. but if not, you know, just, you want to be less than the standard 3/8. So 3/8 is with the needle in the middle position here to the outside foot. You want to be somewhere in between there. And I'm just going to sew all the way around. I'm not bothered about going backwards and forwards at the beginning of the end and all the ends, because as I say, I'm going to actually overlock this. But if you're not overlocking, just, you know, back tack at the beginning and at the end. Take the pins out as you go, making sure that all the bulk of the fabric is on the left hand side. When you get to this top corner piece where it starts to bend, just take it slow, and you want to stop as near to this corner as you can with the needle in the down position. You may have to just hand crank your wheel a bit, and then with the needle down, lift the presser foot up and just pivot it around a little bit, but make sure all your fabric is out of the way underneath here. And you want to just come round this corner, keeping lined up to where you've lined up on your foot. So I'll just keep going with this one side, and then I'll do the other one and I'll come back. Nearly there. Okay, so that's how it's looking. So you've got that all completely sewn in. Just make sure you got the corner here, and then I'm just going to do the other side and then I'll come back. Okay, so it's not that easy to see with it being dark fabric, and as I say, it's a dark day here, it's raining, and then the sun comes out, then it goes back to being dark again. So, but this is what you've got both ends completely sewn now. At this stage, go and slip it over your machine and it should fit perfectly for you. I am now going to overlock around these two seams I've just sewn. You could use pinking shears, but watch you don't cut into your seam with it only being a 1/4 inch seam allowance, or you could just go back and zigzag all the way around just to neaten the edges. Okay, so I've overlocked all around both ends now to neaten up all those seams, and I've overlocked all the way around it, and to save some time I've actually turned the hem under about 3/8 of an inch all the way round. I'm going to top stitch it, and then I'm going to apply my rhinestones and I'll be back. Once all the way around, which will just tack down all this overlocking I've done and give me a nice neat finish on the front. Just lining up the edge of the fabric with the edge of my foot. Take your time when you're going over the seams because you've got quite a bit of bulk there. I'll keep on going and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, so that's it finished. I'm going to press out all the seams. As I say, I overlock mine. I just overlocked mine in cream because that was what I'd done the other one in, and to be honest, I couldn't be bothered changing the thread. But it's fine for me, it's all on the inside and I'm not bothered, and I've top stitched all the way around it now. So it should fit. If you followed all my dimensions and the seam allowances, it should fit. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to fold it in half and roughly find the middle. and I'm going to apply my ScanNCut rhinestone logo, which I did in canvas. And I'm not going into how I did this because I've done a previous video on how to use the rhinestone kit, but basically I've already done it. I'm going to position it on the front and I'm going to iron it on, and when it's complete I'll come back and I'll show you. Okay, so there it is, all finished and fits perfectly, as you can see. And this one is going to be the one that I'm going to give away. So if you would like to win this taupe coloured one, head over to my blog, leave me a comment on this blog post, and this is going to be open to UK only, this one, I'm afraid. So for any of you that maybe don't sew but you have a ScanNCut machine and you would like a cover for it, go to my blog, leave a comment on my blog under this blog post. I'll leave it open for 2 weeks from the day that the video and the blog post go live, and then anybody that leaves a comment, I'll put the names into a random generator and I'll pick a name, and the first name that comes out will be the person that I will send this taupe coloured one to, and then obviously there's mine with a little bit of bling already. So please like, share and subscribe this video on YouTube. As I say, if you're in the UK, head over to my blog, leave a comment. I'll leave it open for 2 weeks and then I'll draw a name at random. Thank you.